There's a movie out. It's been out for a minute now. It should be making its way to streaming sites soon. So if you haven't seen it in theaters, you should be able to pick it up on streaming sites very soon. It's an awesome film. I've seen it 3 times now. I am absolutely crazy about it. It's called The Woman King. And the star of the film is Viola Davis. I actually didn't know until afterwards that her production company was involved. This was a movie she wanted to do for like 7 years. She's been trying to get this movie done for a long time. She is heavily involved in both the on screen and off screen process. And there's a lot of training that went into this film. And I thought it'd be very interesting to bring it to the pod. As you all know, if you have been here before, Dre is a martial artist. And in both of the interviews I saw, both on Breakfast Club and on, I don't remember which late night show, I think it was Jimmy Kimmel. I could be wrong. Anyway, Viola Davis spoke about the training. And there's also a video I just found today where it's like a promo video that just speaks about the training.
My body went through hell.
Oh, the training.
It's been a lot.
I was like,
I don't know if I'm going to survive this process.
people think training's gonna be you just getting a little bit strong to do a bit of stunts. But for this,
3 hours of martial arts a day.
We had weapons training.
Everything from sword play, spears, machetes, a lot of punching. An hour and a half of weights, sprinting.
Gina, the director, joined us, and that helped bond us. She's transformed our bodies, she's transformed our minds as well.
I mean, I feel like a badass.
And so it says that they did 3 hours every day of martial arts training, an hour and a half of weight training, or strength training, as we like to say, and they had to run sprints. This shit is crazy. Plus, they had to record all of that. I tried to find some stuff about their diet, but they didn't really deep dive in on the diet. In the Breakfast Club interview, they spoke about it a little bit. They said they had a lot of quinoa, brown rice, broccoli, you know, the usual stuff we hear. But I don't know what else they had. One thing they did say is they did give them cheat days where they had like a fish sandwich. And that was like the flyest shit ever for them to be able to break diet and have the fish sandwich. But then two of the main actresses, Viola Davis and the young lady, I don't know her name, I'll put it on the screen. She's one of the other main characters in the film. They did say, yeah, they would be cheating at night. Viola Davis says sometimes she would have a little bit of candy. The other young lady said she would eat Doritos. And they said, but they both felt like shit because they felt like they were cheating out on the squad. Like, you know, all of the women are here. We're all doing the work. And I want this sweet shit. I want this salty shit. But it also feels bad that I'm fucking up because my whole squad is here. We're all bonding and working together. And I'm not doing what they're doing. So they felt bad in those moments. So obviously, before you go, Dre, these women did not have a 9 to 5, right? So obviously we cannot look at this and say, okay, I'm going to start doing 3 hours of martial arts training. And then I'm going to go hit an hour and a half of weights. And then I'm going to go sprint. And then you'll die. Because it's so much in a day. Even in the promo clip, and I'll probably put it in here, Viola Davis said, like, my body felt like it was going to finish, like it was going to die, it was going to collapse. So yeah, clearly we can't do this, those of us who have a 9 to 5. But I was just curious what you thought about it. I have thoughts on it as well. And I just wanted to kind of give the movie some props and also show the dedication that this entire squad of Black women had to get in shape in these, I believe it was 9 months. So go ahead.
I have 2 words, basically, and that is volume training.
All right.
That's really it's really all it is, right? No matter what thing you're trying to get, the more time you put into it, the better off you get.
Right.
What's going on? So they had to try to acquire skill. They had to try to acquire muscular strength, and they had to try to acquire physical endurance, right? So trying to acquire these things takes time, that's volume training.
Right.
And so, that's the first thing I think about when it's like, okay, well, yes, they have to, their job is the movie. That's their job.
Yep.
And so, 3 hours of martial arts training, yeah, because you're trying to look like on screen a person who has been training for years, right? So here's
Yes.
people who haven't probably done any weapons training. They probably haven't done any martial arts training. And so you're trying to cram in a bunch of training that someone like myself has done over, 40 years or something. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's like you're going to have to do that. Not, I wouldn't say to catch up, but to look like on screen, you know what you're doing, so that when someone puts a knife in your hand or a spear or all these different weapons, it looks natural.
Right.
And the only way it's going to look natural is if you develop sort of like muscle memory. You have to like develop this muscle memory with it, and it flows and it looks natural.
Right.
So yeah, it makes sense to me. And of course, with strength training, it's the same thing. It's like you have to look like you've been in shape all your life, even though you haven't. And so you're going to have to put a lot of work in. And, with the endurance, you have to look like you can run for a really long time, and pretty fast. So they have to, put them through it, So hats off to their trainers. I'm sure they had a few. And I think it's great. Now, in terms of people watching it and saying, that's what I'm going to do, hold on.
Yeah, that's why before I let you go, I said, wait a minute. Before I let Dre go, let me just preface this by saying,
slow down. So you have to look at all three of these things and then say to yourself what we kind of talk about here all the time. What comes first? Like, what's your first priority? Right? Are you trying to get strength? Are you trying to get endurance? Or like most people, you're just trying to lose weight? What is that? What's your first priority? And then you want to sort of like pyramid down. Because you do have a job and you can't spend 6 hours in the gym.
Right.
If you get an hour, you're good, So, but I do believe in volume training. You know what I mean? I do believe in go in there and do a lot of a thing, whatever that is. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, it's your leg day, go in. You know what I'm saying? Do legs, not just don't get involved in that touch your situs bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Fucking do legs. You know what I'm saying? That stop being all over the place.
Right.
And that's what I like is that when you talk about volume training, you're really like laser focused on what it is you're trying to accomplish for that day.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is what we're doing. So you go in there for an hour and you're going to do legs and you get as many sets and reps in as you can. And
Yes,
then,
sir.
hey, you walk away. Just like we try to do, even with the same thing with our cardio, or what you want to call physical, or you want to call endurance, cardio, same thing.
Right.
Where it's like, hey, I'm going to try to do 45 minutes to an hour. It's like, oh, all you got to do is 20 minutes. That's true. The least you can do is 15 to 20 minutes. And if that's all you have, fine. But if we realize, hey, if we're really trying to kill this and really trying to get this skill and become better at it, the more time we put in, the better we get at it. So try to get as much time as you can. If you're going to say, hey, I'm going to do cardio, put it up 30 minutes, put it up 45 minutes. See if you can, see if you can rock an hour. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, like yourself, and you're like, all right, I'm going to get 20,000 steps a day. That's volume, man. That's volume like a mofo. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's volume. That's volume. So, the first time you try, it's like, man, this is getting hard. But the more and more you do it, the easier it gets. And you find yourself getting to that 20 a lot more
Often.
regularly than when you maybe first started. So don't be afraid of the word volume training. It just means doing a lot of that activity to get at mastery level with the results that you want.
Right. Yeah. No, I think that was great. Yeah, I think it's awesome that they have the trainers, the time, the dedication, the contractual obligation. All of those things help, right? If I put something on paper that says I'm going to be ready in 9 months and I sign a contract, I'm now obligated to be ready in 9 months. I don't have a choice. So obviously that's also going to help. I think all of these things are great tools that these women, these actors, actresses had available to them. I think that's awesome because it helps, right? All of it helps. Me and you, we send each other stats. We send each other food. We call each other. It all helps, right? Some people call it an accountability partner. Well, they had several accountability partners. They had contracts. They had trainers, and they had their other coworkers, peers, staff members, whatever term you would like to use. All of that is a great assist. And I think all of that helps push. I mean, we've been in the gym and we're both like, fuck, I'm tired. But nah, come on, man. We got 2 more sets. Come on. You know what? I'm going to help you. Come on. And we know that these things help. We know that these things are helpful. So I think it's awesome that they had these resources available and were able to get into shape and look amazing for this movie. Everyone. I mean, Angela Davis, unbelievable. Viola Davis is no spring chicken. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that was one of the things that was awesome after the movie. After the movie, me and my daughter had a long talk on the way home. And part of it was how great the main character looked. And she's like, Dad, she looked great. She looks so good. I said, she's grandma's age. She said, what? No, she's not. I'm like, okay, well, and like you like to say, search it up. Go ahead, pull out your phone. I'll tell you her name. Right. Look it up. And she looked at her name, looked it up, looked up her age. She's like, Dad, that's crazy. I'm like, yeah, it is crazy. But she's putting in the work. That's what's not crazy. When you put in the work, you'll get the results. So I think, first of all, it's awesome that they have these tools and resources available to them. I think it's great. I think they all did a phenomenal job. Like I said, I watched it 3 times already. The shit been out like a month. I mean, if it was on streaming right now, I'd put it on after this pod. It's awesome. But yeah, now let's flip it to Joe Schmo, people with 9 to 5s, regular Joes. Yeah, we can't spend 6 hours in the gym. We talk about this all the time. One of my favorite stories to tell people is I remember I was inspired by a specific actor and I sent Dre a video. It was like, son, look what this dude is doing on like 4 or 5 hours of sleep a day. This is crazy. He works out twice a day. Man, look at his body. This is great. And your response was exactly what we both just said. Well, it's his job to look that way. He's getting paid to work out twice a day. I'm not getting paid to work out twice a day. I'm running a business. I have a 9 to 5. I have a kid. I have a life. I got a lot of shit going on. No, I cannot be in the gym for 6 hours a day. There's just not enough time in the day. I need another 6 hours to be on the day. I need 30-hour days. You know what I'm saying? Maybe then. So we have to be realistic, which Dre already said, and I agree. We say it on this pod all the time, and I think it is a great way of looking at things. It has helped me in recent months to be better with fitness, which is prioritization and time management, right? Yeah. So we prioritize, right? Dre came on here, I don't know, 2-3 months ago now. and said, "Hey, my new thing is I want to see how much I can drop down, how slim I can get, how much endurance training I can get in." And if you follow Dre, you see that Dre's been going nuts with the cardio. He's biking here, biking there, elliptical session here, elliptical session there. It, like he said, volume. Now, do you need to go and do sprints for an hour? No. In fact, if you listen to this pod and say, okay, I am inspired, I'm going to go to the gym right now and do an hour of sprints, you're going to hurt yourself. We spoke about that here before as well. So yes, prioritization is important, but also be realistic with your goals. I totally agree. If you want to do cardio, lots of cardio, and drop weight or just build endurance, that's great. But you have to build up to it, right? Dre can do an hour. He's put in the time to be able to do an hour on the elliptical, and he'll be fine. I can do an hour on the elliptical, and I'll be fine. But I know I can't go jogging for an hour and a half or just get up tomorrow morning and say, I'm going to go run a marathon. 26 miles, why not? No, because I haven't built up to that yet. So we have to also be realistic with what we are setting ourselves up to do and build up. Yeah, so Dre's saying we can do half hour, 45 minutes, an hour of cardio. Absolutely. But make sure that is something you build up to, right? We say all the time, start with whatever it is you like. People hit me up and I tell them the same thing. I've been speaking to a friend of ours as of late, and he's been saying, man, I really want to hit this jump rope. I got a weighted jump rope. I'm really inspired. I said, okay, great. Hit the jump rope. He said, but what about that elliptical you and Dre are always talking about? I said, but you're not me or Dre. If you like the jump rope, then hit the jump rope. But just realize that whatever your priorities are should be your focus. I won't say names, but he told me, yeah, my priority is to bring my weight down. I'm kind of heavy. I want to bring my weight down. So I've been doing lots of strength training. I said, no. Your priority should be cardio if your number one goal is to bring the weight down. It doesn't mean you shouldn't do strength training, but like Dre said, then you should be looking at it like a pyramid. At the top is cardio. And then the next level down would be your strength training. And I think that's how we have to look at it. But I think it's awesome that they were able to do these things. Yes, Dre, you're correct. They did weapons training, and she said they were doing lots and lots of punching because there was lots of punch and fighting scenes in the movie. They wield all of these different weapons and they had to familiarize themselves with them. So yeah, you are correct again. And I don't really have too much to debate about. I just thought it was interesting to hear your perspective on it, because of the fact that you've been in martial arts for so long and they were doing so much martial arts training, but also the addition of these other two, which we speak about all the time. I don't do any martial arts. I do know that shit takes a lot out of you mentally, spiritually. You have to be very focused. And again, I just applaud these strong, Black, beautiful women.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm actually thinking about starting a martial arts pod with a fellow martial artist, because I do feel like learning basic self-defense should be something that everyone knows, and I've done so many self-defense classes, taught so many self-defense classes. A lot of times I like to call it women's self-defense, as if men don't need to know how to protect themselves, which is a whole different conversation. But I just hate doing that. I do it, but I always be like, why are we, calling this women's self-defense?
The separatists?
You know what I'm saying? It's just self-defense. Everyone needs to get it anyway.
Right.
But it's something that I think people need to learn. And so it's kind of two birds with one stone, right? It's like you can learn these different techniques to help take care of yourself if you get into these violent situations, and at the same time you can get in shape and stuff like that. So it's a pretty good hobby if one wants to take it up. It kind of just like makes sense. The other thing that I wanted to highlight what you're saying is that, yeah, like the sort of like group mentality, right? The fact that they were all doing it really made it help them push themselves to do it. You know, we've talked about this. When you can be doing things with someone, or you enter a class and it's like 50 of you doing it, for a lot of people, you're probably going to be more successful if you're the type of person that says, hey, you know, when I do this in a group setting, I seem to get better results because I feel like I'm accountable to this other person accountable to me, and so you
Right.
won't quit. Whereas some people, you know, they go into the gym, they touch a few things, and then they're just like, yeah, I can't do this, and they leave. I
Right.
mean, no one is there to keep them accountable. That's why having like trainers like myself for a lot of people is necessary, because the trainer is going to be like, come on, let's get this done.
Right.
But you know, even Arnold once said this, you know, and he says it a lot too, like having that partner, you know what I'm saying, with you a lot of times is really important, because we are going to have off days. We're going to have days where we're tired or whatever. And
Right.
if you're in the company of really good people, you know, they're going to push you. They're going to be like, come on, you can do this. Or, man, you still doing, you know, 50 pounds, come on, let's move it up to 55. You could do more, you
Right.
know. Having that good sort of like buddy system is super important, and you see that. In fact, I was really impressed, the video that you sent me that shows the director was also doing the
Yeah.
training, which, you know, she's not in the movie, she doesn't have to do that. You know, most directors are like, go do this and I'll be doing, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. But the fact that the director was like, come on, guys, I really need y'all to look like women warriors. I'm going to be in there with y'all. That changes the dynamics of everyone doing it. It's like, wow, even the director's doing this. Man, I really get, if she's doing it and she's not even, you know, she's on the other side of the camera,
Right.
man, I definitely need to go in, you know.
Right.
It's like, wow, you know, that's great leadership. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
I agree.
So, yeah, I really dig that, man. I feel like, hey, get with great people, get with people who are where you want to be, or you guys are trying to do this thing together, and you know you're going to keep them accountable, they're going to keep you accountable. We're both going to push each other
Right.
and make sure, hey, you know, like us, you know, even though we've started out our sort of fitness journey together, and we're not physically around each other, but we still try to, you know, make sure that, hey, you know what, I'm gonna send you my results, you're gonna send me your results, because even if I go 2 or 3 days without going to the gym, I'm looking at your stats and I'm like, man, this dude is getting it in.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's vice versa, right? Like you see my stats.
Absolutely.
If you miss a day or two, you like, yo, man, this cat he's getting it in.
Right.
And then the other thing that I want to address, that I think was great, is like, you know, more and more as we as time goes on, age is really becoming just a number. You know, I feel like that's sort of cliche. We kind of just like say that, but
Yeah.
now it's really turning that way. It's like you got people in their 40s and 50s who no longer want to look like the people in 40s and 50s from like the 80s and 90s, you know, where it's like, oh, well, I'm in my 40s, I'm going to get the gut. I'm in
Right.
my 50s, I'm just going to chill. It's like those days are kind of like over, man. Like I'm looking at cats, you know, I always mention my dude, Robbie Robinson. You know, shout out to Robbie Robinson. If you don't know who he is, he's on Instagram. He's a bodybuilder from Arnold's day, and in his 70s, and looks fantastic. You know what I'm
Word.
saying? And so we're realizing age is really just a number. If you are enjoying what you're doing and you're getting it in, you're going to get it in for life, you know.
Right.
And so if it's something that you really enjoy doing, man, it's going to make your life so much better. So when you get older, you don't have to reach for that cane or, you know, reach for that walker. You're like, yo, like I have the strength and endurance to have my independence and do whatever it is that I want to do. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So getting in a strength program and then some sort of cardio or endurance program. I don't care if it's swimming, walking, getting on your bike, doing
Mhm.
things that you like, going outside, getting that sun, man, it's the best thing ever. So you know, shout out to her. You know, she said she was doing all this stuff at 56. I I think she's like 57 now. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's gangster. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, you
Super
56
gangster.
and you doing 3 hours of martial arts training, and you're like doing all these like strength training things. And she was like, yo, running sprints on the treadmill, having it on 10, just like, you know, wild hit training.
Crazy.
Yo, I love it. I love it. And it takes the excuses away for people who are like 25, 30. I have kids. It's like, so, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta, you know, if you want that to be your excuse, fine. But there's so many people showing you right now today that age is really just a number, and you can get it in if you choose to.
Yeah. And we spoke about it here before. There's plenty of shit you can do at home. You don't have to go to the gym. You don't have to be in a martial arts program for 3 hours a day. You could jump right in your living room and hit a Zumba class on YouTube or a martial arts class through Zoom. Like, there's mad other options now with all of the online platforms as well.
Right. But man, if when you get like, I think about the days when we trained together and other cats, you know, 2-3 hours would go by, 4 hours would go by. We didn't even feel it, right? Because we were having fun.
Yeah.
I tell everybody, like, when people look at my stats, you know, sometimes I post them and they see a 2-hour session or a 3-hour session, because sometimes on a Saturday or a Sunday, you know, while y'all out maybe watching football or you in the club for 3 hours, I tell everybody, I'm partying. You know, I'm in the gym, I'm partying. I don't even care about the time. I'm having a great time having this long session.
Right.
And it's fun. And sometimes you can have these really long sessions if you just enjoy it. You know, what's the difference between that and going to a bar for 3 hours?
Right.
Or, you know, watching a football game, you know, for mad hours. You know what I'm saying? Like, when someone's like, oh, it's Sunday, I'm watching football. You spend the whole day doing that, just sitting on your ass, not doing anything. It's like, well, I may watch football too on Sunday, but I might watch it in the gym. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm watching it as I'm getting sets in. I'm watching it as I'm doing an hour on this elliptical. I'm like, oh man, he did this, he did that. But I'm getting things in, and it's fun for me. It's fun to watch the game, but it's also fun that I'm doing this workout. It's a hobby. It's beautiful. You know, it's a great thing. So I don't look at it as like, man, that's a lot. I'm not telling everybody else that, but when you find something you really like to do and it's a physical activity, man, enjoy it. Enjoy it as much as you can. Go for that hour walk. Go for that 2-hour walk. Who cares?
Right.
You know? Yeah.
Yep.